All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a few real people just like you and me. All right, more unfortunate news from the world of classic rock or alternative classic rock. Some people probably don't know who this guy is, Tom Verlaine. He's in a band called Television. Television was really influential to a lot of music that came later, like R.E.M. and Talking Heads, which actually kind of debuted around the same time as Television did. They were a band that hung out at CBGB's in New York, which was a really important club in those days. And this is all underground music. For those of you who are into the melodic rock stuff, Television was not a melodic rock band. Anyway, Tom Verlaine has died at age 73. He was the singer, guitarist, and songwriter. And it says here in the article, and I almost want them to stop putting this sentence in. Just don't do it anymore. Died at age 73 after an unspecified brief illness. Unspecified brief illness. Now, I'm wondering if they know, like when they get the information from whoever, in this case, it's supposedly Jessie Paris Smith, who is the daughter of Verlaine's friend and fellow artist Patti Smith, who also hung out with the same people and had about the same impact on the music scene, although Patti Smith did have, I think, one or two hit songs. Television as a band did not really register as far as music sales, but they were influential. And they were one of those bands that came from New York City's fruitful mid-70s music scene. They built a following by performing at CBGB's, the club that also helped give birth to the Ramones, Blondie, and Talking Heads. The band's 1977 jazz-influenced debut, Marquee Moon, is considered one of the masterpieces of its era and influenced, again, R.E.M., Red Hot Chili Peppers, Joy Division, and U2. I was in college radio after this band was briefly popular within alternative circles, and I remember seeing their albums in the album stacks at our radio station, and I'm sure we gave Television some radio time, giving Television some radio time. You know, Tom Verlaine, certainly not on a lot of people's radar, but for me, this is just another story about another younger person. I know 73, Dave. I know it's the new 93, right? The other day I said something like 55 is the new 85. All right, so 73 is like the new 103. I mean, this guy was way past his life expectancy according to how the media approaches these things currently. You know, just don't even say, just leave it out, unspecified brief illness. Oh, Dave, you know, they've been doing this for years. You can go back 10, 20 years and died after a brief illness. Okay, at age 88, at age, 92. All right. Maybe because of all this stuff that's been happening the last 3 years and some very high profile things. I mean, I get one of these every day. I think there was another football player yesterday, was like age 25. Google that one, age 25. All right. So this is why when I see 73, I don't immediately go, oh, he's just old. He's just really old. And look, all right, here's the disclaimer. So you live through the 70s sort of alternative punk scene, right, in New York City. So that can't do a lot of good for your overall life expectancy. Well, I'll throw that out there, all right? The rock and roll lifestyle so far, and I don't know if they've done any sort of research on it, isn't really conducive to a long, healthy life, okay? I think a lot of these guys really wear themselves out by age 60. And by age 70, you look at them and you go, okay, this guy is like 100 years old. And they're not. People were not that surprised when David Crosby passed away. What was it, last week, right? Or earlier this week. I mean, this happens so fast that I can't keep up with all of them. But I wasn't really shocked by that one. It's just that David had a real impact on the music world. And in a way, so did Tom Verlaine, and they both deserve some recognition. In fact, television is one of those bands that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame would put into the Hall of Fame. They would certainly put these guys in for influence. Well, they influenced all these other bands. Nobody knows who they are. They didn't have any hit songs. They weren't on the charts. Perfect for the Hall of Fame, right? I'm sorry to be sort of tongue-in-cheek or sarcastic here, but that's kind of the way the Rock Hall operates. All these other bands who they influenced, I think, are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So why not television, right? Tom Verlaine was a guy who hated pop music. He said so. He took up the saxophone in 1963, and an older friend had some John Coltrane and Ornette Coleman records, and that's the music I liked, which is pretty great music. So Verlaine obviously had great taste in music. I don't see how it manifested itself in the band that he was in, but that band was the perfect sort of flip side of like the disco scene and all of the other stuff that was happening in the 70s. So in a way, it was pretty anti-establishment, which now I think is really good. I'm not sure if any of these people who came up through the whole punk scene, alternative scene today, their viewpoints on things, are they still really anti-establishment, or do they just go along with establishment talking points and narratives and do what they're told? They just listen to the government and they just do what they're supposed to do. Because that's what makes them a good citizen. I think some of it is because they really love a collective, like they want to be part of some kind of a collective. And I think many of them probably would love full-blown socialism or communism. And I think part of that whole political system is obedience to the state. And I have to be careful because none of these guys, even though they were rebellious to authority back in the day, they still love the idea of a big state telling everybody how to live their life. And I know I'm straying here from this original whole unfortunate incident. Some people say this is a medical coincidence. That's something that's been online where people talk about, hey, here's another medical coincidence. Some people will say, Dave, he's 73, dude. I mean, come on. Yeah, 73. This scares the crap out of me because I think the goal of most human beings is to say, hey, I'd like to get to maybe 80, 75, 80, maybe even older if I take care of myself. This notion that you just have to kind of accept. This is really weird because we were always progressing as a society. We were always looking to extend the life expectancy. Now we just blink and nod and go, it's unfortunate. 25-year-old football player the other day, like yesterday, the day before. I had never heard of the guy. I guess he played a few games last season. And I think he was in the XFL, which is that alternative football league, which may or may not be a big deal if they can stop the woke ideology of the NFL and actually put some decent football out there for people to watch without the politics. I think it'd be a huge success because people are looking for alternatives. This is everywhere you go. You turn on ESPN, they do, I don't know, they just do all this crazy stuff. So it has nothing to do with sports. Anyway, folks, I'm rambling, and that's what I tend to do. This is a sad thing. This guy obviously had family and had friends and had a very interesting life. And actually, I think overall was kind of an interesting guitar player if you go and listen to him. It's not my real cup of tea, cup of coffee, but man, when I was at college radio, this is the kind of music that was our wall of sound. This was our soundtrack. And these bands, they all blended together and they made for a really interesting genre. It had a flavor to it, whereas today's music doesn't have much flavor to it. So again, kudos to a band like Television for breaking ground, even though it's not, again, the first thing I would go and listen to. And it's just sad. If this is just another medical coincidence, we're never going to know. No one's going to know about this. It's just going to go under the radar. He needed to be a little bit more high profile to get anyone's attention. So I just figured I'd talk about it because I don't know if anyone else will. And that's it. That's the video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You know, the algorithm has not been my friend this month. The algorithm, for some reason, it likes me, you know, for a couple of weeks and then it leaves. This is how I look at the algorithm. It's my buddy, and then it just kind of doesn't do anything for me. I have to be reporting on like the biggest news event in history. And even when I do that, I'm sure it's throttled back quite a bit from where it could be. So I need you to watch the videos, subscribe, like the videos, do what you can to try to pump up that algorithm, which will recommend these videos if people are liking them and watching them and boosting their visibility. And don't forget about Patreon. It's the fallback when things get a little bit low when it comes to income. I need folks to go over there and just do like $1 a month if you appreciate the content. Also, YouTube memberships for $2.99. That's really easy to do. A lot of people have issues getting over to Patreon for whatever reason. But if you just want to support the channel, the memberships are really easy to do. Just hit that join button on the banner of the homepage to this channel. All right, I have overstayed my welcome here. I'll be back though. See you then.